Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome to the temple. We begin our service singing together, Hinei Matov Umanaim, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. How good and how pleasant it is to be here together, celebrating Shabbat together. And we turn to page 172 to sing together Matovu. As we turn to page 195 for the Berlow. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, יוצר אור ובורא חושך, עושה שלום ובורא את הכל, המאיר לארץ ולדרים עליה ברחמים, ובטובו מחדש בכל יום תמיד מעשה וראשית. מה רבו מעשיך אדוני, כולם בחוכמה עשית, מלאה הארץ קנייניך. תתברך אדוני אלוהינו, על שבח מעשה ידיך, ועל מאורי אור שעשית יפארוך הסלע. אור חדש על ציון תאיר, ונזכה כולנו מהרה לאורו. ברוך אתה אדוני יוצר המאורות. The world is sunlight, restoring the soul, rejoicing the heart, bringing light to the eyes, more welcome than gold, a Torah from heaven. I have no light to give the morning. My Torah, my special human gift is words. As I bring my words forth from silence, welcome them, you who redeems the sun from darkness. Baruch Ata Adonai Yotzer HaMeorot. And we turn to page 200 for the calling of the Shema.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Please be seated. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. And these words which I
Our Torah portion brings us to the second stage of the Exodus from Egypt. We are now enslaved, and God promises to take us out of there with a mighty hand and a stretched arm, and God is going to, in our Torah portion, to deliver 7 of the 10 plagues. That would lead us to next Torah portion with the last of the plagues, and the one after that where we come out and get to the Mi Chamocha moment. But the Mi Chamocha is so great that we repeat it twice every day when we pray. So we turn to page 204 to sing together Mi Chamocha.
Mi Chamocha Bailim Adonai, Mi Chamocha Nadar B'Kodesh, Nora Tehilot, Osef Eleh, Mi Chamocha Bailim Adonai, Mi Chamocha Nadar B'Kodesh.
And we rise for the tefillah on page 205.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. Source of all being, we turn to you as did our people in ancient days. They beheld you in the heavens, they felt you in their hearts, they sought you in their lives. Their quest is ours. Help us to see the wonder of being. Give us the courage to search for truth. Teach us the path to a better life. So shall we, by our lives and our labors, bring nearer the world we envision, one of justice, freedom, and peace. Baruch Ata Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. And we read together on page 207. You are the open door that beckons me in. Peeking around the door frame, I begin to enter into your glory. You move me forward, O Eternal, to step beyond self-made boundaries. Lift my foot over the threshold that I might abide with you. In the house of the Eternal, I found my questions waiting to be posed. They filled me with wonder. Sit with me, eternal teacher. Encourage my seeking. As I fill my hours with your mitzvot, so shall I be filled. Send me through your door, stretching up to honor your name, sharing out this wonder, enriching myself in the giving. Blessed are you, Adonai, who gives life to all. Baruch Ata Adonai, Mechaye Hakol.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה על זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ. אבינו ומלכינו, ומושיענו ריבוי ישמיענו, ברחמה לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהים, ימלוך אדוני עולם, אלוהיך ציון לדור ודור. הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש. ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
To all generations we will make known your greatness, and to all eternity proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O God, shall never depart from our lips. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch ata Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated.
ישמחו במלכותך, שמרי 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 שבת, תקורא ענק שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שמרי 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 שבת, תקורא ענק שבת.
ישמחו page 216 for the blessing of shalom, the blessing of peace and wellness and wholeness. O God, may we never become complacent, faltering in our effort to build a world of peace. Let the nations know and understand that justice and right are better than dominion and conquest. May all come to see it's not by might nor by power, but by your spirit that life prevails. Praised are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. Baruch ata Adonai, hamvarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. Courage and strength in our lives, in the lives of everyone that is dear to us. The Misha Berach, the prayer for healing and strength and courage, is on page 253. Turn now to page 244 for Seder Kriyat Torah LeShabbat, the order of reading from the Torah on Shabbat. Please rise.
Adonai,
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Our God is one, Adonai is great, holy is God's name.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Lecha Adonai Hagedula, V'hagivura, V'hatifiret, V'hanitzach, V'hahod. Ki kol bashamayim u'ba'aretz, Ki kol bashamayim u'ba'aretz. Lecha Adonai ha'mamlacha, V'hamid na'asi li'kol li'rosh.
Please be seated. We're in a Torah portion that is called Va'era, meaning I appeared. Adonai comes to Moses and says to him that Adonai will redeem us from the land of Egypt. Adonai will rescue us. Adonai will take us to the land of Israel, and we will become the people of Adonai, and we will know God. And right after that, there's a series of plagues where we have, and we know it from the Passover Agadah and from reading this every year and from listening to the beautiful music of Let My People Go, we have a series of 7 times that more or less exactly the same thing happens. Adonai tells Moses to go and tell Pharaoh to let the people go. Adonai hardens Pharaoh's heart, and then Pharaoh doesn't agree to let the people of Israel go, and a plague comes, and Pharaoh is kind of sorry that he didn't let the people go, and then it all goes over and over again, back and forth, and that's going to happen altogether 10 times. We're going to read about one of those plagues. It's the plague that comes actually to the cattle, how do you say that? The flock of the people of Egypt, all the animals there, the donkeys, the camels, the horses, everything that is in the field, and also all the beasts that are there. And it's a very strange thing that the animals, the farm animals of the people of Israel are spared, just like the people were spared before when it came to the blood and the frogs and the other horrible things that happened to the Egyptians, but the mikneh, the cattle of the people of Israel is spared, and the Egyptian is hurt. I chose that of all the plagues, not because it's the most gory one, or not because it's the most fair one. I mean, what wrong did the Egyptian animals do that they are hurt and the Israelites are not? But because of the language of the commandment of Adonai to Moses, a language that repeats itself actually 3 times. It's a very weird language, a very weird commandment, and our tradition and our rabbis learned a great deal actually from that is relevant also to us today. So we'll go there. It's on chapter 9 in the beginning. In chapter 9, yes, in the beginning of chapter 9 is where we read. But before that, in the book of Exodus. But before that, we're going to say the blessing for reading from the Torah. Please, Jennifer.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamborach. Baruch Adonai hamborach olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai, notei
ויאמר אדוני אל משה, בוא אל פרעה ודיברת אליו. כה אמר אדוני אלוהי העברים, שלח את עמי ויעבדני, כי אם מעין אתה לשלח ועודך מחזיק בם, הנה יד אדוני הויה במקנך אשר בשדה, בסוסים, בחמורים, בגמלים, בבקר ובצאן, דבר כבד מאוד. ויפלא אדוני בין מקנה ישראל ובין מקנה מצרים, ולא ימות מכל לבני ישראל דבר. וישם אדוני מועד לאמור, מחר יעשה אדוני הדבר הזה בארץ. ויעש אדוני את הדבר הזה ממחרת, וימות כל מקנה מצרים ומקנה בני ישראל, לא מת אחד. ושלח פרעה והנה לא מת ממקנה ישראל עד אחד, ויכבד לב פרעה ולא שלח את העם. Adonai said to Moses, go to Pharaoh and say to him, thus says Adonai, the God of the Hebrews, let my people go to worship me. For you refuse to let them go and continue to hold them. For if you refuse to let them go and continue to hold them, then the hand of Adonai will strike your livestock in the fields, the horses, the asses, the camels, the cattle, and the sheep, with a very severe pestilence. But Adonai will make a distinction between the livestock of Israel and the livestock of the Egyptians, so that nothing shall die of all that belongs to the Israelites. Adonai has fixed the time. Tomorrow Adonai will do this thing in the land. And Adonai did so the next day. All the livestock of the Egyptians died, but of the livestock of the Israelites not a beast died. When Pharaoh inquired, he found that not a head of the livestock of Israel had died, yet Pharaoh's remained stubborn, and he would not let the people go. So, sounds perfect, except that there's a trick about the translation. In 7 of the 10 times, Adonai says to Moses, Lech el Paro. Lech means go. And it's translated as go to Pharaoh, Lech el Paro. But here, and in 2 other places, Adonai says actually something different. It says, Vayomer Adonai el Moshe, and Adonai said to Moses, Bo el Paro. Bo means come. So actually the commandment 3 times, not once, so it cannot be that it's just what we call a scribe's error. One of the scribes of the early manuscripts copied it by mistake. Instead of Lech, he wrote Bo. By the way, it doesn't make sense, that mistake, because it's not even the same letters or letters that look the same. They look very different. But 3 times it says, actually, come into Pharaoh, Bo el Paro. When you say to someone, Bo elai, that means come to me. Or when you say that, you usually mean come into my house, enter my house. So Lech el Bo el Paro means to come inside Pharaoh. It doesn't really make sense. Now, in all those 10 times, we have more and more, and that's an intuition, but a lot of people see that as you read, more and more that feeling that Moses is already fed up with that. I mean, seriously, why do I have to do all this back and forth? I don't like Pharaoh. He doesn't like me. He's very mad at me. He can actually hurt me. He's the emperor. He's the god of Egypt. Why does it have to be all that back and forth? But what really doesn't make sense is come into Pharaoh. That's not an image that you can see in your eyes. I mean, Bo el someone is a very intimate thing. Lech is go to, that is kind of like keeps the distance. But come into someone, that is like go into the inner chambers of the personality of that person. The Zohar, the greatest mystical interpretation to the Torah, says the following. It says Pharaoh is not so much of a person. Pharaoh is more a symbol. Pharaoh is a symbol of all the evil that is in our world. There cannot be someone as mean and at the same time as, excuse my language, stupid as Pharaoh if there ever lived such a person. No one will allow themselves and their people go through such hard plagues, one after the other, without learning the lesson. Pharaoh is a symbol of everything that we need to overcome in our lives. And when God says to Moses 3 times, come into Pharaoh, God is actually telling Moses, when you deal with evil in your life, when you deal with evil in this world, when you confront evil, you cannot just ignore it. You cannot just go next to it or stand across it. You have to actually deal with it. You have to actually come inside in the inner chambers of evil. And the Zohar has this image that Moses has to kind of like wrestle with Pharaoh. Now, I never wrestled with anyone, but my colleague, Rabbi Rapport, apparently was a champion of wrestling in his good days in college. And he told me that when you wrestle, you hug someone, okay? It's a very intimate sport and battle. It's not like boxing or something else where you hit but you keep your distance. You don't keep your distance. And this is how we struggle with evil, according to the Zohar, and maybe even according to what the text is saying. Maybe God is teaching Moses and us a lesson that it's not going to be easy when you confront evil. It's not going to be a touch and go, and one time touch and go. Just go say to Pharaoh, let my people go, hit him once, and he would learn the lesson, and that would be it. There's a lot of coming and going, and there's really that intimate moment that repeats itself 3 times, that they're really hugging and wrestling with one another in order to finally be able to combat the evil that we are confronting also in our lives, in our society. Let's say the blessing after reading from the Torah.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah. Amen. V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael. V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael. Al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe, b'yad Moshe. Al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe, b'yad Moshe. V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael. V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael.
Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. On this Shabbat, we remember especially Shirley Tanchester-Rees, Joshua Fink, Raymond Allen Sr., Julie Adamkin, Marjorie Lerner, Jerome E. Neustadt, Jack Suzanne, Anita Bowman, Joseph Goldberg, Ellen Beiser, Rose Bronstein, Marian Siriano, Linda Judah, Rebecca Matz, Angela Nafusi, Grace Serre, Zelda Tasman, Gertrude Treiber, Milton Frank, Bella Gottlieb, David Klein, Maria Linskaya, Stuart Mann, Georgia Russell, Hannah Yanov Steinberg, Martin Bailin, Suzette Gerdy, Joan Goldenshoe, Elaine Kahn, Fanny Lowenstein, Matilda Marks, Marty Weinstock, Donna Cohen, Jonathan England, Mark Gladstein, Jerome Klein, Louis Marks, Betty Herzog Pure, Yair Ribak, Richard Shapiro, Barbara Rifkin Strauss, Nat Balin, and in recent days, Dr. Stanley Frager. We think of our loved ones, whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those we have drawn into our hearts with our own. With the blessed memories from our loved ones in our hearts, we rise as we turn to page 294 for the Mourner's Kaddish. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעלם ולעולמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלל שמי דקודשה בריחו, לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהא שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. זיכרונם לברכה. May the memory of our loved ones come to be a blessing and a benediction to us all. Amen. Our closing song is Oseh Shalom. רצון מלפניך, אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אמותינו, שתוליכנו לשלום. May it be your will, Adonai our God and God of our ancestors, that we be guided on the paths of shalom, of wellness and wholeness and well-being, and that you protect us from all harm and evil on our way. Bless the work of our hands and grant us grace, loving kindness, and compassion in your eyes, in the eyes of everyone who sees us. Adonai Shalom, bless us with the Shabbat of Shalom. Shalom to our bodies, to our minds, to our souls. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. And please say a Shabbat Shalom and a Happy New Year to someone you never met. Shabbat Shalom.